This is probably the most important video that I've ever recorded on YouTube. It might be the most important video that I ever will record on YouTube. This video is going to be hopefully chock full of useful information that you'll be able to use to kind of continue growing your Pokemon business, or start your Pokemon business, or if you're looking to grow your Pokemon collection, or maybe travel to events and try and mitigate some of those travel expenses. I'm hoping there's information in here that you guys will all be able to utilize to kind of make that happen for you. The last couple years of Pokemon have been absolutely nuts. It's been so easy to be a store owner because you've been able to buy product at wholesale and then sell it at MSRP, and that never happens. That's never happened for as long as I've been in Pokemon. I remember 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, you have booster boxes sitting on the shelves at $85, $90 and not selling. You had to bring your booster box prices down to, $80, $85 just to move product, just so you could pay for your next invoice. You would take it on the chin. You would lose $1, $2, $5 in some cases just so you could get rid of some of that excess inventory that you had. I remember selling Shining Legends Elite Trainer boxes for $35 and them still not moving. Look at where they're at now. Like, I could not sell them for $35 back when they first came out because people just didn't want them the way that they want them now. And a lot of that is thanks to influencers and the pandemic. We had those two things coupled together that just really kind of changed the market. And now things are starting to go back. Things are starting to go back to how they were pre-pandemic. But when you had the pandemic happen and you had all these influencers, people who had content creators who had nothing to do with Pokemon whatsoever that were breaking open WotC boxes, all of a sudden everybody is a backpack vendor. Everybody is digging through their parents' basement, going through their old closet, finding all of these WotC hollows, all of these WotC vintage booster boxes, and it just seems like they kept pushing, hey, PSA 10 versions of this are selling for this much. Hey, here's another WotC box off the market. And it just seemed like how many of these were available, how many of these were in the market, that these prices just continue to go up. And then all of a sudden, boom, everything started crashing down, and we had the end of 2021 where a lot of this vintage product went way down. Now, it is way better than where it was pre-pandemic. Like, if you're talking about WotC boxes and you're talking about vintage hollows, comparing them now, from a collecting space, Pokemon was definitely undervalued. I think a lot of people took advantage of that. A lot of people saw that. But for the most part, they are nowhere near, these products are nowhere near where they were kind of in the mid-pandemic, kind of when a lot of people were pushing these products. But for storefronts, they were able to take advantage of MSRP pricing. And in a lot of cases, they took advantage of it and were selling for double MSRP or triple MSRP. And all they had to deal with was angry customers. They had to deal with some drama. But for the most part, those products still sold. They were still selling off their shelves. The only problem was they couldn't get enough supply to meet demand. And the other problem was maybe wholesalers might be emailing them or calling them saying, hey, we're going to raise your rates by a few dollars for this product, or we're going to raise your rates by $5 for this product, or whatever the case may be. It was a lot easier to be a store owner over these last couple of years than it ever has been before. But now things are starting to change. Now we're getting back to a point right now where, while demand is still high for some products, like Evolving Skies booster boxes, like Brilliant Stars booster boxes, for a lot of other products, they're not selling anywhere close to MSRP, and they're still sitting on the shelves. Chilling Reign Elite Trainer boxes, Chilling Reign booster boxes, Fusion Strike Elite Trainer boxes and booster boxes, Battle Styles Elite Trainer boxes and booster boxes, lots of products, Trainer Toolkits, Tyranitar and Empoleon tins, Evolution tins, V-Union boxes. A lot of these products aren't selling for anywhere near MSRP, and storefronts are having trouble moving them even at a small loss. So now people have to start adjusting. This is where really the rubber meets the road for a lot of people, and it really kind of determines how much work you're willing to put in. And a lot of people have already jumped ship. A lot of people have already kind of abandoned the space, right? And that's why we've seen kind of things settle down a little bit. A lot of these people who came in have gone back to just selling, Magic the Gathering cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, or really whatever their specialty was. A lot of people are back into NFTs, or they're back into crypto, or maybe sports cards. People who kind of came in, saw an opportunity, took advantage of the market, and then kind of left. And now here we are at the point where a lot of people are like, hey, I still want to do this. I still want to make this business successful. I still want to grow my collection. I want to get into the game competitively. What do I do? Because it's too expensive. It's too tough for me to make it. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, because events, competitive events, have finally returned after 2 long years of not having competitive in real life person events happen. We have had back-to-back regionals over the last 2 weekends, starting out with Brisbane regionals 2 weeks ago, which wasn't streamed unfortunately, so we had to deal with a lot of secondhand accounts of what was all going on. But I really wanted to make this video after what we saw at Salt Lake City, because I really wanted to see the response and how Pokemon players kind of turned up, kind of showed up for that event, because there's still a pandemic going on, right? There's still a lot of rules and regulations that were kind of put in place that may have prohibited a lot of people from attending this event. But people showed up like crazy, and we had over 690 registered masters just at Salt Lake City. For those of you who don't know, there are 3 different age divisions in each kind of sector of Pokemon. So you have the video game, the trading card game. We're going to focus mainly on the trading card game side of things. Masters alone, over 690. That means 690 people above the age of 16. You know, the spending power in that room, people above the age of 16 that are showcasing all these decks. There was a stream that thousands of people were watching. There's VODs of thousands upon thousands of views of people watching these tournaments kind of unfold and seeing what cards are making an impact on the current meta. And it'll be interesting to see how things continue to unfold, because we only have half a season really where Pokemon is going to be played competitively before Worlds hits in August, September in London. It's going to be interesting to see how the format kind of shifts and what happens from the competitive space as far as, you know, a business goes, as far as a market goes. We'll see how everything unfolds. But then moving forward into next season, when rotation hits, and trying to predict and trying to understand where the meta is going to shift to, that's really where the grind begins for store owners, for people who want to get involved in kind of growing their collection on exponential levels as much as possible. And we're going to look at some resources that you can use, some tricks that you can do on a weekly basis to try and make sure that you are gaining the most out of your collection dollars, that you are gaining the most out of your business. And I will forewarn you, this is a grind. It is a lot of work. A lot of people kind of came into this space and saw an opportunity to make a lot of money very quickly. And while it did work for some people, a lot of people unfortunately lost money quickly. And this has never been a business about doing that, about getting rich overnight. It has always been about slow, steady gains. And that's kind of why we started this channel at the beginning, and really kind of what we preached since the beginning. It's about working hard, putting your nose to the grindstone and just going at it, expecting small percentages, keeping true to your customers and keeping true to your clientele. That's what this is all about, because at the end of the day, that's what makes this hobby, this passion for this whole business great. Like, that's what makes Pokemon so great. It's your love for the game, it's your love for the hobby, and that's why that grind is all worth it. So we're going to turn you guys around, and the first thing that I want to kind of introduce you guys to is PokeStats, which is ptcgstats.com. This is just a really great resource that you can use. Get familiar with it. I highly recommend going here. They update things on Twitter all the time. They update things on their website all the time, but they have a lot of data analysis from all of these events, whether it be an online event, whether it be just a local event that's going on. And now there's no sanctioned locals that are permitted by Pokemon for the rest of this season. This website alone still keeps you up to date with a lot of locals that are going on, and then will continue to keep you up to date with those locals once they do get officially sanctioned by Pokemon moving forward. It really gives you a good understanding of where the meta is, what cards are in, what cards to be expectant for, what cards you may want to dig out of your bulk, what you may want to go sorting through your inventory for, that you may want to pull out and hang on to for a little longer in case the market does start shifting. I can't tell you how many times in the past 5-6 years prior to the pandemic starting where overnight a card basically took off. I've seen mixed herbs go from 5 cents a card to $3 a card. I've seen Shaman go from a 30-cent holographic card to a $5 holographic card. I've seen Custom Catcher go from a 25-cent card to an $11 card. These are all things that you really want to pay attention to, because if you don't and you've got all this inventory listed, somebody's going to buy you out and you're going to miss out on all that opportunity there, and you're going to miss out on all that potential moving forward to expand your collection or to expand your business. is. PokeStats is a wonderful website that compiles deck lists, compiles a meta of every tournament basically that's going on. It's a wonderful, wonderful website to kind of keep up with. That'll keep you in tune with what's going on in the competitive scene. Another big competitive resource that I like to look at is Limitless TCG. This is founded over in the UK. They do a fantastic job of keeping up to date with all of this stuff. So if we click on tournaments that just happened, we've got Brisbane and we've got regional Salt Lake City. So we're going to click on that one and we can see 627 masters right there, and they've already got the top 8 except for number 1. They've got 2 through 8 deck lists that are already compiled, and it's got complete day 2 standings, and more deck lists will be updated throughout the day. It shows you little icons about which Pokemon, which deck was being used, but then it's also got the list. And when you click on the list, one of the things that I really love is it shows you the current value of the list, how much it would cost you to build this on your own. So if you're somebody who is looking to build these decks or looking to get into the competitive scene, I'm not recommending you go off and net deck everything, but if you want to get a good base and a good starting point to see what techs might make the deck better, or what you might want to look at countering moving forward in the upcoming meta, these are great resources that you can use that are obviously free to the public to go in there and get a good understanding. Once you start looking at all of these lists, you can start compiling which products are selling, which cards are moving, which cards people need, so you can see common oddities that are appearing in each deck that you may not have thought of originally. So obviously you have Sobble in Drizzile and Inteleon, but it shows you which set these Inteleon are coming from. You can see Lotad and Ludicolo, so you know what set these cards are coming from. Then you can kind of compile the data on your own and say, hey, hold on a second, out of the top 8, everybody is playing 4 Drizzile. These Drizzile might be worth some money moving forward. I need to make sure that I don't have these in bulk. And sure enough, we already knew Drizzile has some value attached to it. They're selling for about $3 a piece. But if you look at cards like Evolution Incense, for example, now this is a card that's going to be rotating out soon, so you don't know how much attention you want to pay to it. But for the time being, right now, there's 4 in this deck, and then you look at other decks and you're seeing more of them available, and it's just, hey, these are cards that I really want to start paying attention to. You have Gengar V and Gengar V Max, which did not have a whole lot of impact on the meta in Brisbane, but all of a sudden it showed up and did extremely well in Salt Lake City. So now all of a sudden you're like, okay, well maybe I need to start paying a little bit more attention to Gengar V and Gengar V Max. So what does that mean? Okay, well how about Hiding Darkness Energy? That came out in Darkness Ablaze. What do I have those? I need to start pulling those out of my bulk. And you start looking at all these cards to determine which cards you might have in your bulk that you want to start pulling out because they might have some value attached to them. So if we look here, a lot of these cards unfortunately have been reprinted several times. Pokemon has done an excellent job of keeping this game as cheap and affordable as possible for every single player. They've reprinted Professor's Research many times. They've reprinted Marnie several times, Boss's Order several times, Quick Ball several times. Ultra Ball has been around since the dawn of time for the most part. But then you have a couple of new cards here. Battle VIP Pass, Urn of Vitality. Those are newer cards to the format where, hey, if these start popping up a lot more, that might be one of those situations where you see a card go from 25 cents one night to $1 the next night, and that's something that you definitely don't want to lose out. Then we move forward to TCGPlayer. So this is obviously going to be the selling platform that I recommend if you prefer selling on eBay or Amazon. Obviously that is totally fine as well, but this is something that's going to help you track what is moving. So if you go to Pokemon, you go down to advanced search right away, the cards that we're going to focus on are going to be commons and uncommons. So you're going to search your filters based off of that, and then you're going to change everything to energy, item, Stadium, Supporter, and Tool. You're going to leave Pokemon off. We're not going to check that one, mostly because we don't want to pull up a bunch of vintage cards. A lot of times right now, the most sales is what we're going to be sorting by the best selling, and unfortunately TCGPlayer's algorithm focuses more on the dollar amount rather than the quantity amount. So we're going to focus mainly on just best selling here. We're going to change our drop down menu to that instead of relevance, and we can see Capture Energy is the #1 selling common or uncommon card right now on TCGPlayer. It tells you the pricing right there, but this is really an easy snapshot, a real easy tool that you kind of go through to kind of determine, hey, in my bulk, these are cards that I want to pull out. I want to get rid of my Evolution's Incense. I want to take that out of bulk because we just saw a lot of those make noise at Salt Lake City. So I don't want to sell these for 3 cents a piece when they're selling for 60 cents to $1 a piece. You want to go in and you want to pull out your Battle VIP Pass. You want to pull out your Galar Mine because those are starting to sell for more than what than just a bulk pricing. You can see the market price right here on Galar Mine is selling for $2. You can see Quick Ball right here selling for over 50 cents, even though it is a card that's been reprinted several times. Choice Belt, a card that just came out. This is something that you don't want to throw into your bulk because it might have the potential, especially as we move forward to a next format after rotation hits at the end of August. Those are cards you really want to start paying attention to. You can narrow it down by set, so you can get a better understanding of standard versus expanded. If you don't know what that means, those are just basically two different formats that you're going to be playing during competitive tournaments throughout the year. Those are very, very important terms that you want to keep up with moving forward. But this is just a really easy tool, something that you can simply do on a weekly basis to try and keep up to date with the market, to see where things are shifting and make sure that you're not getting rid of cards for nothing. Next up, I really just wanted to show you guys what you need to do and the amount of work that's going to be involved in order to make up for that loss that you're going to be seeing on the sealed product. Now that sealed product isn't moving as fast. This is just a snapshot. This is just taking my TCGPlayer account information, putting it into an Excel document so you can look at a specific 3-month period of time. I just chose a random 3-month date. We're just looking at the end of August, beginning of September until the end of November of 2019. I wanted to choose something pre-pandemic so you could get a good understanding of where the market was. And at the time, it was a lot of cards that were staples, a lot of cards that were not your big high-end ultra rares, that were not sealed product or anything like that. So all the cards that we ever listed on TCGPlayer really focused on staples and a lot of cards that had that $1 or $2. And those orders do add up. You can see over that 3-month period of time, you're looking at packing up 1,200 orders. So you're looking at packing up roughly 100 orders a week, and that may seem like a lot, and that is a grind. There is a grind that gets involved in kind of listing these, condition grading them, and you're basically making, you know, quarters at a time, but those quarters and pennies add up, and that's what's important to keep your business doors open. But then we look at the total sales over here after fees, and you're looking at just over $12,000. So you're looking at an additional $4,000 a month. How many booster boxes is that are not moving, or how many elite trainer boxes that aren't moving currently? This is the grind that it takes to kind of make your business successful, and those tools that we kind of just looked at are all the tools that are going to help you kind of compile these sales data. Now, one of the things is that this supply, this demand, this giant push we've had in Pokemon over the past few months have brought a lot of new sellers into the space. So something you have to understand is that competitive selling is going to be a huge factor in trying to determine whether or not these cards kind of spike up in value, because a lot of times it's going to be a race to the bottom. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things unfold. Obviously, patience is going to be key in a lot of these areas, and really kind of meta planning. That's why it's so important to understand the market, understand what goes on in the competitive side of things. Even if you don't have interest in that space, it's super important to watch regional events to kind of get an understanding of what's going on in the meta, because that additional work is really what's going to set you apart from a lot of other places, from a lot of other companies, because you're putting in the hours and you're putting in the grind in order to make your business successful. And that's something that's super important. Even if you're somebody who's just looking at building your collection, pulling these cards out of your bulk, trading them up at different events or at different stores, or opening up a TCGPlayer account and just selling them on TCGPlayer, so that way you can use that to buy different cards or buy new competitive cards, whatever the case may be. Selling any additional copies that you might have, super important. So I just kind of wanted to give you a snapshot of what went on pre-pandemic, so that way you could see, like I said, a lot of these cards, all of these cards that we're showing here, we had very few ultra rares that were listed at the time. We had no sealed product whatsoever that were listed at the time. That's why if you take the amount of sales and divide it by the amount of orders, a lot of times it's just several cards that were $2-3 a piece that were kind of adding up to that total amount here. So if you're looking at 1,200 orders to equal $12,000, you're only looking at about $10 roughly per order on average, which isn't anything substantial. But no sealed product, really no ultra rares. You're just focusing a lot on those commons and uncommons that unfortunately right now are really just involved in bulk, because over the pandemic range, we haven't had a whole lot of cards from a lot of these modern sets that have reached over $1 a piece. You're looking at like Drizzile, you're looking at Capture Energy. Those are kind of the outliers when it comes to those. So that's why it's so important to kind of keep up with competitive play, especially once those staples that have been reprinted several times, like Professor's Research, like Marnie, like Boss's Order, when rotation hits and they're looking for new draw supporters, or they're looking for additional staples for decks, and every deck that needs 4 of this card, and a lot of players will build multiple decks at a time. These are important things that you want to try and predict and kind of plan around. That's why a lot of times I don't recommend people put trainers in their bulk at all. I recommend holding on to them, putting them to the side until you know rotation hits or something happens where you know these are going to kind of fall off and not have any value associated with them, because otherwise you could be getting rid of things. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made was kind of leaving my my custom catchers in bulk, and we sold them. Somebody bought like 145 of them for 10 cents a piece, and 2 days later they were worth $7 a piece. It's a lot of money that you kind of lose out on, and I know a lot of stores would cancel that order, but at the time I was like, no, it was my fault. This is something that you need to learn moving forward, and that's why when I talk about the grind and when I talk about the amount of work, I can sit here and I can give you information. I can give you commons, uncommons, trainers, cards to look out for, but if I don't teach you how to do it on your own, you're never going to be successful, and that's why you need to be looking at all this information on a frequent basis and understanding what's going on in the meta, so that way you can make your collection the most successful, your business the most successful, whatever you're looking to achieve the most successful as possible. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you do, please consider hitting the like button down below, leave a comment because it goes a long way for the algorithm, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch all this. Obviously, if you have any questions, let me know. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.